The cafeteria of orbital station Kepler 9 hummed with the low thrum of recycled air and the clinking of synthetic utensils. It was third meal cycle, what humans called dinner, and Cadet Mara Ellison sat alone at the far corner table, pushing reconstituted protein paste around her tray with the kind of tired resignation that came from 14 consecutive days of double shifts. She was 22 years old, fresh from Earth's orbital academy, the only human assigned to Deck 7. Most of the station's crew treated her with polite curiosity, the way one treats a new and unusual pet, but none had made the leap to actual friendship. She had learned not to expect it. Humans were still new to the galactic cooperative. Guests, technically. Tolerated, mostly. She stabbed a cube of nutrient paste. It wobbled. Please. The voice was so small, so threadbare, that Mara almost missed it beneath the ambient noise. She stopped chewing. Please. I'm starving. She turned. Crouched beneath the adjacent table, pressed into the shadow between two support struts, was the smallest creature she had ever seen. It looked, at first glance, like a cat, except nothing about it was quite right. The ears were too large, fanning outward like satellite dishes. The eyes, half-lidded with exhaustion, were a deep amber rimmed with silver, vertically slit like a predator but soft with desperation. Its fur, pale lavender streaked with darker violet, was matted and dull. It had 6 limbs, though it was curled so tightly it was hard to count. Its tail, long and prehensile, coiled around its own body like a living blanket. It was looking directly at her. Please, it whispered again. The word came out in standard galactic, but underneath it ran a harmonic layer that Mara's translator chip rendered as genuine physiological distress, imminent collapse risk. Mara set down her fork. How long? She asked. The creature blinked. Its ears flattened slightly, surprise, the translator offered, that she had responded at all. 4 cycles, it rasped. My travel papers were flagged. I cannot access the dispensary without cooperative credentials. I have no, a tremor moved through its body. I have no credits that transfer here. 4 cycles. Roughly 48 hours without food. Mara looked down at her tray. Nutrient paste, a cylinder of protein flakes, 2 carbohydrate rounds, and a canister of electrolyte fluid. She did not know what this creature's biology required. She did not know if any of it was safe. She did not know, technically, whether feeding an undocumented traveler violated some cooperative regulation she had not yet been assigned the manual for. She slid her entire tray under the table. I don't know if any of this is right for you, she said quietly, crouching down so she was eye level. But it's what I have. Tell me if it hurts. The creature stared at the tray. Then it stared at her. The silver rims of its eyes caught the light. You are human, it said. It was not a question. It had the quality of someone revising a previous assumption. Mara Ellison, she said. Cadet. Deck 7. Lyra Vera, the creature whispered. Cub-class traveler. Phaloris system. Another tremor. Why are you doing this? You do not know me. Mara considered the question. She had been asked variations of it before, by the Greth officer who had watched her pull a crewmate from a malfunctioning airlock, by the Voss diplomat who had seen her give her thermal layer to a shivering maintenance worker during a heating failure. They all asked it with the same quality, not gratitude, exactly. More like bewilderment. Like kindness without transaction was a variable they had not accounted for in their models. You said you were starving, she said simply. I had food. Lyra Vera reached out one small, 6-fingered paw and touched the edge of the protein flake cylinder. She sniffed it. Her whiskers trembled. It smells burnt, she said. Yeah, Mara agreed. It always does. Lyra ate anyway. Slowly at first, then with a desperate, controlled urgency, the careful eating of someone who knows hunger too well to waste energy on speed. Mara stayed crouched beside the table. She didn't speak. She had learned, over her years in academy, that hungry creatures, of any species, did not need commentary. They needed space and stillness. When Lyra had finished what she could manage, she sat back and tucked her paws beneath her chest. Her color, Mara noticed, had shifted slightly, the lavender brighter, the dark streaks less sharp. Not recovered. But less like someone about to fall over. The carbohydrate rounds were not poisonous, Lyra reported. The paste caused some discomfort. The fluid was excellent. Good to know, Mara said. You gave me your entire meal. I've missed meals before. I'll survive. Lyra's tail unwound slightly, then rewound. Her amber eyes tracked Mara's face with an intensity that felt almost medical, as though she were running some internal diagnostic and had not yet reached a conclusion. Humans are strange, she said finally. So I've heard. I do not mean it as insult. Lyra paused. In the cooperative, kindness is structured. There are systems. Forms. Credit transfers. Aid allocation protocols that require documentation in triplicate. Her ears rotated slowly. You did not ask for my documentation. You were hungry, Mara said again. As though it were enough. As though it were always enough. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. My people, the Phaloris, we have a word. Velsheri. It means roughly, the warmth that crosses species. We believe it exists, theoretically. But in my 11 cycles of life, I have encountered the concept only in old stories. Her eyes dropped to the empty tray. I had stopped believing. Mara sat down fully on the floor, cross-legged, uncaring of the odd looks the other diners were sending her way. A human, sitting on the floor of a cooperative cafeteria, beside an undocumented Phaloris cub. She was well past the point of worrying about appearances. What happened to your papers? She asked. Lyra explained. It was a bureaucratic catastrophe of almost comedic proportions. A clerical error in the Phaloris border registry had duplicated her travel ID, flagging both entries as potential fraud. The resolution required a physical verification from a Phaloris consular officer. The nearest consular office was 6 station hops away. Without verified credentials, she could not book transit. Without transit, she could not reach the consular office. Without the consular office, she could not clear her credentials. A perfect loop. The cooperative systems had swallowed her entirely and were digesting her slowly. I can help with that, Mara said. Lyra blinked. You are a cadet. I'm a cadet with a human diplomatic liaison contact, which means I technically have provisional access to the cooperative's inter-registry correction protocol. She paused. Earth negotiated hard for that one. We like fixing things. You have the authority to. I have the authority to flag the error and request expedited human sponsor review. Which isn't the same as fixing it, but it puts a human name on the ticket, and apparently cooperative bureaucracy moves faster when a human is watching. She shrugged. We're still kind of a novelty. Lyra stared at her for a very long time. Her tail had fully unwound now, curling loosely instead, a posture the translator rendered as cautious openness. Why, she said softly, do you keep doing this? It wasn't really a question. Mara answered it anyway. Because you needed help, she said. Because I could give it. Because when I was 8 years old and lost in a city I didn't know, a stranger bought me food and walked me home and asked for nothing. I've been paying that forward for 14 years and I haven't run out of reasons to yet. Lyra Vera was very still. Then, slowly, deliberately, she pressed the top of her head against Mara's hand, a gesture the translator did not render in words, but Mara understood anyway. Old as language. Older, maybe. Thank you. You are safe. I trust you. The bureaucratic error was cleared in 9 hours. Expedited, as promised. Lyra Vera departed Kepler 9 on the next available transit, with 3 days of station meal credits loaded onto a temporary cooperative card that Mara had argued, politely and at length, out of the station's humanitarian discretionary fund. She left one thing behind. Pressed into Mara's palm in the transit bay, a small carved token, dark purple stone, shaped like a curled sleeping figure. "Velsheri," Lyra said. Her ears were high. Her color, fully bright now. "In my language, you give this only once in a lifetime. To the first person who makes you believe in it again." Mara closed her fingers around it. Long after the transit bay doors sealed, she stood holding it, a human cadet, alone on a station full of aliens, belonging, maybe, a little more than she had before. Somewhere in the cooperative's vast and grinding bureaucratic memory, a flag had been added to Mara Ellison's file. Human, Cadet, Deck 7. Notable for informal interspecies humanitarian actions. Cross-reference, Velsheri Principle, Practical Application. The cooperative had a word for it now. They had borrowed it from the Phaloris.